Welcome to the Java Cafe, Java fam.
Now in Massachusetts, you can get your standard driver's license regardless of immigration status. Gather all required documents: proof of identity and date of birth, proof of Massachusetts residency, and proof of Social Security status. Next, register at mass.gov/myrmv for your learner's permit. When you pass, schedule your road test at mass.gov/myrmv and prepare at mass.gov/road test. Register today.
Good morning. Welcome to the Java Cafe, Java fam.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Today is Wednesday, August 16, 2023, and it is We Need to Know Wednesday. We are celebrating Black-Owned Business Month here in the month of August, but we're deviating a little bit. We share information with the community about things that are going on, about resources. And this morning, we have a guest with us, Catalina. And I'm going to let her say her last name so I say it right, because you all know I don't play with that. I'm big on that. Names are important. But we have Catalina, who's coming in from the Greater Boston Food Bank to talk with us about food insecurity and a recent report that shares some very interesting information about things that we have discussed here in the platform on Your Healthy Java with Dr. Joseph Betancourt and others in reference to nutrition and health. And we're going to continue that conversation and hear about the report. We're also going to hear about her and why she's passionate about this work, as well as what it is that we can do to make sure that the Greater Boston Food Bank remains to be funded. I'm not sure if they have an exact line item in the budget, but we'll find out about that. But you'll have an opportunity to hear some information about how you can get involved and help. And I am pretty much sure that at one time or another, our family, someone has benefited from the Greater Boston Food Bank. So I am excited to have this wonderful queen with us. I am so glad that we are continuing in the tradition of having Black and brown queens that are in business and that are leading. And so maybe not, a small business or, Black-owned business for the month of August, but I do want to celebrate the fact that you are a Latina woman who is leading this work at Citizens Inn. But welcome to the Java Cafe. Say hello and good morning and tell us a little bit about yourself, and we'll jump right into this conversation and report.
Well, thank you so much, Jimmy, for having me. I'm Carolina Trujillo, and as you said,
Trujillo.
I'm an Afro-Latina. Trujillo. It's a twister, but it's all right. Trujillo. And I work at Citizens Inn. I'm the executive director at Citizens Inn. I'm an immigrant of Colombia. I came to Boston 26 years ago, and I'm so happy to see that role before we started this conversation. Yes. Because I'm very passionate about obviously supporting the immigrant community, especially the undocumented community who has so many additional needs, and we see it in all spaces, right? So thank you so much for that. ECCF actually, just on that point, just granted us some money to be able to open a client navigator position to support people who are going through that process. So soon enough, we at our resource center, we are going to be offering that service. If you don't understand the process, the RMB can be very cumbersome to navigate.
Really?
I don't know, right? So we're gonna start supporting people in that kind of like process of obtaining their driver's license. It's critical part of legislation, and it's gonna make such a big difference for everybody, for the safety of everybody on the roads, but in particular for people in our community, in our undocumented community. So just my 5 cents on that.
No, yeah, wonderful. Thank you. We'll be sure to clip that out and share that with them because it is important. We had them on a couple of weeks ago and talked about it. And mobility is a part, and it's a contributor to of food insecurity. But before we get into the work, you mentioned that you're an immigrant from Colombia 26 years ago.
Yes.
Tell us about your journey in getting to this place to where you are working to ensure that people, basically, not to make it too simple, but that people can eat.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the best way to put it. And I think there shouldn't be any shame in that.
Okay.
I think that there's a lot of stigma around food insecurity, and I think that the more we talk about it, the less we can reduce stigma.
Okay.
So my journey in particular is I'm just a typical middle class daughter of an immigrant who came to this country a lot of years before I came and had to do all the traditional immigrant jobs so I can be afforded an education in my country. I came here with a bachelor's degree, trying to find my way in the superior education. I was able to secure 2 masters from Suffolk University. So in my professional life, I've been involved in human services, most of it nonprofit work, nonprofit management. But I started from outreach work. I didn't start as executive director. I started
Yes.
outreach work, really working with communities, really understanding all of the different trends and disparities that you see in our communities, in particular the Latino community.
Yep.
And that's how I became passionate about this work. At some point, I think, like you mentioned, we have all been food insecure. The way that we define food insecurity is the anxiety of fearing what you're going to give your kids or what you're going to have to eat the next day or the next meal, not knowing where that's going to come from. And I think that if you're a household, if you're in a household and you are kind of like the head of the household, that is one of your biggest concerns. And I think that that's where Greater Boston Food Bank comes in, and that's where the pantries come in to be able to support you in relieving you from that anxiety, where we can come in and provide some food for your family, supplemental food for your family to be able to continue to thrive and for you to have release your anxiety, which is, it's a pressing issue. And I think that I was very food insecure at some point. And there's a lot of misconceptions about food insecurity. Well, you're not working hard enough. Guess what? I was working 5 jobs at some point. I was doing translations. I was doing interviews. I had my full-time job. I was conducting 2 groups with 2 different organizations, but yet my budget was tight and the expenses kept growing. I had a kid, and I was worrisome. It's worrisome. You go to bed worrying, like, where are we gonna, it's the milk is gone. Like, where is this bottle of milk gonna come
Yep.
tomorrow? But I've been in those shoes, so I can empathize with a lot of people in this journey who are working their best, and still are feeling the anxiety and the pressure of not having enough money to buy food. So that's on a personal note.
No, I really I appreciate you, because often when folks come into the Java Cafe and talk about these subjects, I think it's important for the community to get to know them and why they're and the passion and as to why. And I too started out as a youth outreach worker, a youth worker. I always say I'm always going to be, youth worker and outreach worker. So thank you for your transparency, because I think it's important. And we know that when audiences identify, when there's a connection, when there's some kindred spirit, that it's a lot easier to receive what it is that you're sharing. And so please help us understand, because you are the executive director at the Citizens Inn,
Yes.
and you are affiliated or
Mhm.
collaborate with the Greater Boston Food Bank. Where are you located? What's your region? And give us sort of a breakdown, because we're so Boston centric. We go
Yeah.
to get on 93, we see the building there and think it's just kind of like just Boston, but
Yeah.
understanding and getting to know the work that's going on, it's not just Boston. And it does say Greater Boston.
It,
Please educate us there.
Absolutely. So the Greater Boston Food Bank serves all Eastern Massachusetts. It's about 101 cities in Eastern Massachusetts. So it's a huge amount of real estate that they serve and provide for food pantries like Citizens Inn. Citizens Inn is a twofold operation. We have a food pantry, a community meals program. So we face food insecurity. We deal with food insecurity. We also have 35 shelter units that are funded through the department DHCD, that now changed its name. But also, just recently, because the state is going through such a crisis with homelessness, we are serving 15 immigrant families who are staying at a motel in Peabody, Massachusetts. So the Greater Boston Food Bank really is our main supplier of food. So without them and their support, we couldn't do the job we do. We do some other rescue on the side from supermarkets and places around Peabody,
Can you
Massachusetts.
define for the community? I'm a familiar, but can you define, because I want folks to get all the education they can.
Yes.
Rescue. Can you define what that is?
Absolutely. Food rescue is food that supermarkets understand that maybe they're not going to get off the shelf quick enough to get to their expiration date.
Yep.
So they give it to the food bank because we do have a way to get food out immediately.
Yep. Yep.
Because the need is so great.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep.
So we know that if we get milk that is going to expire in 3 days, we're going to be able to get it out the same day that we pick it up. So that's, that's how we, collect rescue, and organizations work with us to make sure that they separate the things that we can take that are in still good condition. They're still edible, and you can distribute to families that are going to consume it within the next 2 days.
Okay.
I mean, if you have a family of 5 and you get a gallon of milk, it's going to be gone in a day.
Yes.
That's reality.
Yep.
So that's what rescue means. So we do a lot of rescue on the side, but our main source of food comes from the Greater Boston Food Bank. We go to the food bank twice a week with our trucks to pick up food in other pantries that are larger pantries that have other accommodations. I know that I work in conjunction with the North Shore pantries, and they bring food, and then smaller pantries can go and pick up to their bigger operation, so they can, because they don't have the logistical accommodations to have trucks and all these things. So we work in conjunction very well. I'm very good friends with, the Salem Pantry, the Bootstraps. I think that we're in it together.
Yeah.
And it's not a competition. We're here to serve people and bring food to them. Wherever they get it, obviously it's important, because we want to make sure that that you use your resources efficiently.
Yeah.
If you live in Peabody, it's easier to come to your Peabody food pantry than if you live in Salem, because now you're going to have to ask for a ride. You're going to have to spend money on an Uber. We want the little resources you have to use them efficiently. So we do education also around local resources that you can utilize while you're visiting us. We don't turn people around, to tell you the truth. If you made a line for 45 minutes, it's because you really need that food, and that is our call to action. And if you tell us I'm from Salem or I'm from Lynn, which we get a lot, I'm not going to tell you need to go back.
Yeah.
We're going to give you food, and we're going to say these are your local resources, so you don't have to invest in driving here 6 miles to get food.
Which is gas, and then also, but you're not allowing them to leave with no food. They leave with food that night, a couple of days, and then still with resources. One of the things I wanted to extract or ask you about is, I hear this sort of logistical, you talk about partnership and you all work together, but this is a very interesting operation. How has the operation been impacted since COVID? The economy, employment, any and every discipline of everyone working, like, has job openings. How is that impacting you? And do you have openings and opportunities that you may want to share where folks can come apply and be a part of such a great service and work?
So opportunities, we have tons of opportunities. We run on volunteers. So our operation and food insecurity is volunteers driven. Citizensinn.org. If you visit that website, you can sign up for volunteering, and you can check us out and see other programs that we have in house. COVID was a really important pause in operation that didn't mean you stop. It meant you rethink. You rethink how you're delivering services. You rethink how you're doing everything that you need to do in a way that's conducive to meeting your goal, which is getting food to people who are in need of food. We have to rethink our delivery. We put our pantry outside. We never stopped during COVID. We were one of those services that was consistently in harsh weather. We were out delivering food. We deliver food for people who were their mobility was not there, that they were homebound. We delivered food to them. Elderly people, we delivered food for them. So it's a great network that we work together as a city, the city of Peabody, to be able to identify who is food insecure and work with them and make sure that they have something to eat. Through our community meals program, we also deliver meals to people. We serve meals 4 times a week. So we know that some people will eat a meal and then take 3 to go because for other members or for tomorrow or the next day.
Yep.
So we distribute about 250 meals a day of people who come in and eat and then people who take. So those are two complementary things. When COVID hit, some of the changes that we experienced was that the Boston Food Bank used to deliver our food to
Yep.
us. Now
Yep.
we have to go and get our food. So it's a little more labor intensive, but we're grateful for the food and grateful for
Absolutely.
the partnership because without them, really, that's the backbone of the operation.
That's
So that's one huge change. Also, the amounts of food. We're done with the pandemic, and we're living through a time that we're calling the silent pandemic. And this is what I'm referencing when we talk about the silent pandemic. Through the pandemic, everybody and their mom wanted to give. It was just the spirit of just everybody's going through a hard time. I want to give my stimulus check. We received stimulus check that was donated. Now, the assumption is that people are back to normal, back to work, everybody's back. But if you look at the state of the economy, if you look at the compound of issues, high cost of gasoline, high cost of living, all these things, and people are not back to work and everything costs us more. So there's never been more need than now. It's incredible.
Yes.
Just to give you numbers, at the height of the pandemic, we were serving about 870 households a month. Currently, we're about 2,767 households a month.
Wait. Hold on.
I know. It's and if you talk to the Salem Pantry, Beverly Bootstraps, like if you talk to all of us, La Colaborativa with my friend Gladys in Chelsea, she can attest to the amounts of food that we're giving out now that are basically tripling in numbers because now you have to decide, what am I going to do?
Pay for gas.
Correcto. If I go to work, I need gas. If I don't have gas, I can't go to work. But if I buy gas, I don't have food. So what is it going to be? I have to get to work. Food, the pricing in rent, now the provisions ended. People have to go back to paying rent. So people are struggling, and there isn't a solution at hand. We just got more money. The new administration is very, very, very generous
Yep.
with this food insecurity issue as well as a housing issue.
Yeah.
I think that they understand, especially we have, Lieutenant Governor Driscoll
I was just gonna say yeah, definitely. Shout out to the
Salem
lieutenant governor and the governor. Yep.
understands the housing crisis from end to end. I don't think that we've ever had a government that's so understanding of the crisis. I don't want to talk about the former governors, but I think that they walk the walk and talk the talk. So,
That's one of those moments, Catalina, that we just
I have high respect for them, and I know that they've allocated more money. But if you look at it from another lens of disparities, you look at it and you see that that money is only going to suffice the inflation that we've experienced for this year and the year before. People are just catching up.
Yeah.
And it's hard to catch up when your salary doesn't increment, but the gas does, and the rent does, and the price of food does, and everything around you does. But your salary doesn't. So again, there's a lot of jobs, and people have, again, this misconception that people are not working hard enough. It couldn't be further from reality.
Yeah.
Our pantry serves commonly, the schedule is 12:30 to 4:30, Monday, Tuesday, Thursdays, and Fridays.
Okay.
We decided, because of my own personal experiences and other people in the community, we decided that on Thursdays, we were going to do food pantry and break that session in two. We called it the food pantry for working families. So we have 12:30 to 2:30 is the first part of Thursdays.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
people,
Gotcha.
commonly they come in. And then from 6 to 8, we were going to pilot it and see from 6 to 8 if anybody would come and pick up food. It was the sign for people who got out of work and
That were working, that still need to.
Thank you. First week, 20 people. Currently, we're serving more than 120 families in that little 2-hour slot. So clearly, the need is there. the insecurity is there. We need more food. We need more funding. And that is kind of like the call to action, that even though we did receive I'm grateful as a recipient from the Boston Food Bank. I'm grateful for that funding. There needs to be more money in order to continue to level set the amounts of food that we've been receiving.
And even level setting, and those of us that move in this space, level funding and whatnot, level funding does not suffice based on what you said, because, we were already dealing with stuff in a normal time pre-pandemic. Some, would say going back to normal, at least this did bring the attention. But the other part of this is, in the pandemic, you saw more of humanity. I don't think it's less humanity. I think there's just that humanity believes that because a majority of their experience is that they're okay.
Yeah.
And without that prompting in the news and websites and whatnot, people aren't. And let's be 100, middle class and folks, they were impacted as well. And so
absolutely.
let's, that not to go too deep there, but I know that you live this through your life experience and you're living it through your work. But however, you were a part or have the privilege of being familiar of a recent report that came out. And let's just put some numbers. You've stated a few, but for a few minutes, a few seconds, let's just put some numbers. That report, can you name what the report was?
Yes.
Whoever you have to acknowledge that, was a part of it to make sure that it happened. And what was some of the findings that, good, bad, and ugly, things that made you go, oh my goodness, things that was like, okay, I didn't notice that. And things that like almost on a fence, tipping point, if we don't do what we need to do to keep folks secure.
Being boots on the ground, Jimmy, nothing in the report was surprising to me. I think that it just validated and gave a number, numeric data, hardcore data. So this is a third annual study conducted by the Greater Boston Food Bank and Mass General Brigham's. And this is the third time they conduct the study. And what they found is that Hispanic households experience food insecurity at a 61% rate, Black households at a 50% rate, and LGBTQ at a 45% rate. 1 in every 3 people in the state of Massachusetts experience food insecurity. 1 in 3. So that's pretty interesting. Also, 1 in 3 adults. Also, if you look at child food insecurity, we see that 36% of households that have children experience food insecurity. And that children, remember, the way that we think about food insecurity is really fearing where that next meal is going to come from. So I think that these are very telling numbers. And I think that, again, it wasn't surprising to us in this industry. It just gives us the opportunity to share the crisis in some hardcore data, because, it's been compiled by 2 very important reputable organizations like the Mass General Brigham's and the Greater Boston Food Bank. So I think that, it helps us have a conversation at the political level, the government level, at the local level with our local legislators, but also with our communities. So they understand that this is not a foreign concept to your town and city. If you look at the state as an aggregate, we're all experiencing this together.
Can you and I want to be very intentional about this for the team to be able to extract and cut out. So I'm going to put you on full screen. Can you just speak to a little bit to someone that may be struggling? And, we go through this piece of, I'm working. I don't want to be seen in line.
Yeah, absolutely.
I remember back in the days when my mother would make us go in line with her to get the cheese.
Yeah, I heard about that. The big cheese that people
used to, block of cheese, the can of peanut butter, the box of dry milk. If y'all are in the comments and y'all remember that, not ashamed. We used to have to go wait in line. And then back in the day, food stamps, now you got what they call the Blue American Express. They call it the Blue American Express. There is, rightfully so, I think people should have a certain healthy level of pride.
Yes.
There are people that are in need. And so if you could, so we can extract this and let folks know that this resource is available, not just there, but through other organizations. There's 600 partners across the state that work with the Greater Boston Food Bank. But if someone is watching, it's the middle of August. Let's just go ahead and say holidays are coming. Even before that, our young people are going back to school.
Yeah.
And so go ahead. What is it that you would say to a family, a mom, a dad, a single dad, maybe? What is it that you would say to anyone that needs to take advantage and address their food insecurity?
Well, the first thing that I would say is that at some point of our lives, we all experience food insecurity. So there shouldn't be any shame attached to feeling food insecure. So that is the first thing. I just want to name the white elephant in the room. There's a lot of stigma around food insecurity. And I just want to make sure that I normalize that food insecurity is something that a lot of people experience. So you're not a unique case. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, if you do need help, please do access help. We advocate for you every day of our lives, so you have the right to those resources. You're not taking anything from anyone. You're just taking what you need at the time you need it. And that's how we want you to take it. The other thing is that food insecurity doesn't discriminate based on race or ethnicity or age. We have people who are food insecure who apparently live in very affluent towns. We have a little sprinkle of people in Linfield, which is a very affluent town here in the North Shore, that come and pick up food because at some point they feel food insecure. The elderly is in particular at high risk of food insecurity because they live on a check that doesn't necessarily go up every year. It's not adjusted per year in significant ways. The percentage of adjustment is not significant. Tax increase, property taxes. So we see people who have properties who have to pay property taxes, and the cost of living is higher, and they have to live out of that one paycheck. So again, there is no shame. If you need help, ask for help. DTA is also there for food insecurity. You can petition for what we call food stamps, which now has a card that it's discreet that you can go and purchase whatever you need. And we, at this level, we continue to advocate so you can have those rights. Use your rights. You're not taking from anybody. Use your rights. Don't feel less than for using.
Um,
Use them. Use them.
that's a whole, we can go on a whole different vein there because the disparities, we talk food insecurity, we haven't talked about necessarily the things that lead to them in Black and brown communities and the disparities. But when we address the disparities and things and resources are made available, we also, and that's why I asked you to speak to that, and I'm just going to say it, we got to put our, in a sense, tail between our legs and just go and get the resources. You can't work well, you can't think well, you can't take care of your kids well if you're not eating. And this notion of I'm gonna make sure they eat and you don't know, both of you, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And I just have to highlight first, let me highlight a little bit. Thaddeus and I agree, best cheese in the world, loved it with my eggs, and don't talk about my, listen, those chunks we would try to slice the cheese like they do in the deli. Oh my God, those were the best grilled cheese. And the dry milk would stretch the regular milk. It had just a little sweet flavor. But I also wanted to raise the fact that Black men coming out from being incarcerated. If you remember a few minutes ago, I also talked about, and I purposely named single dads. There are a population of men out here that are raising their children, and I'll go ahead and say it, for us primary, most of the testosterone carriers, sometimes that pride thing just is a little bit more because we're a man and we're supposed to, no, bro, if your child needs to eat and you need to eat, you need to take advantage of this little thing scrolling right across the screen here and be a part of this. One of the other things I thought was important was for you to let us know how community can support Greater Boston Food Bank. I'm sure on the website, and if I could ask the team to put in the general website, if there's a direct donation link on the website, Nate, if you don't mind, if you could put that in the chat so I can paste that. But also, if you can't donate, what are some other ways? You talked about volunteering.
Yes.
People can volunteer either if they're in your area on the North Shore, they can reach out to you, or they can go volunteer at the Greater Boston Food Bank. But what is another way that people can get involved? Is the Greater Boston Food Bank a line item in the budget? I heard you mention that the Healy administration.
Well, food insecurity is, and the food banks, Boston Greater Food Bank is one of many food banks.
Okay.
And so, but the best way that people can advocate is call your legislator. Have a conversation with your legislator and let them know that there is food insecurity in your area. If you pick up your phone number, your phone, and you dial that number and you call them and you contact them and you say, this is something that's concerning to me. I want to make sure that you're paying attention to this. They will pay attention to it.
Okay.
So I think that exposure and really a call to action would be pick up your phone and call your legislator. I know sometimes it's tedious and people should be familiarized with the local legislation.
You can stay there for about 2 seconds. Go ahead while I type this up.
But sometimes people don't even know who their
That's
local
true, too.
legislators are. And people vote in general elections, like national elections. They don't vote in local elections. Apparently, there's lower percentage of voting. And the local election is going to determine the quality of your life in your little town. So I don't understand why the disconnect between getting out of bed and casting a vote, making sure that your needs are met through the person that you're making them represent you at this big house called the State House. So it's important, or City Hall. It's important that you pick up your phone and let them know that you're particularly interested on food insecurity issues, and that if they can advocate for your town around food insecurity, that it will be greatly appreciated. So that is the way we mobilize, and that is the way that is the call to action. Just advocating, calling your legislator and letting them know that you're interested and passionate about this. Volunteering is also a good way to do it. I can't emphasize volunteering so much. Some people don't have money to give, but they can give time, and they're equally as valuable. So, donating to a cause, if you look who is your local food pantry, donate to them individually with citizensn.org. If you look at our website, there is a donate button. If you want to donate, you can donate to us as well. But I think that we're all doing great work, trying to meet the needs of our community. And I know that I'm not alone in this cause. So, just want to shout out to all of the other pantry directors who are also in this together. We're in it together, and we're trying to meet the needs of our community the best we can with what we have.
It is just, it's amazing to and I'm familiar and know I've taken advantage of, and I've asked also the audience if they knew, of anyone that has had taken it, that has had to take advantage of. And it's nothing to be ashamed about. You need food to live.
Yes.
You need food to survive. You need food to think straight. And so
Yes.
it's something, that's why I thought it was so important to hear directly from you, as a Latina sister that understands the experience across the diaspora. And let's also name that there are some folks that are a little on the other end of the hue with you and I, lighter than us, that deal with food insecurity as well.
Absolutely.
This is a human issue.
Yes.
That just happens to disproportionately impact those, not just happens, but it does disproportionately impacts those that look like you and I. So it's so important that we make sure, keep in mind that the Greater Boston Food Bank does distribute to over 600 partners in the Greater Boston area. One of them is the citizensn.org. You can go to that website if you would like to donate, if you would like to find out how to become a volunteer, and if you have a need, there's a way to find out their schedule that's going on there. Also, if you're facing food insecurity, you can go to gbfb.org/need-food. And you can get information there about also applying for food stamps. Also, if you would like to help the Greater Boston Food Bank, you can go to that link. And I think I put it in the comments. It is in the comments. You can hyperlink directly there and make a donation. Feel free to say that you were watching Citizens In on Java with Jimmy and refer to that in your comments to let them know. And the other main piece is that when you get off of here today, you can simply pick up your phone. You can go Google, find my local legislator, and get their phone number and call and say, hey, I want to ensure that you are supporting the food insecurity line item. This year's budget has already been approved.
Yep.
Start advocating now for next year, because the thing is, and you talked about this a little bit, as there's a perception that the pandemic is going away and we're in an endemic. And I don't know how I didn't respond to this thing, this silent pandemic. And we've heard, different, the silent pandemic and different iterations, but the way that you framed it is just we need to be ready, because I often say we haven't seen the full impact yet. We're still about 3, 5, and in some cases, behavioral health, and 10 years out of seeing the full impact of this. So anyway, call your local legislator and let them know that next year you want them to be at level, because they will try to decrease it.
Yeah,
Based
absolutely.
on what they see in the economy and these formulary grants and all that other stuff. You and I could really have a whole sidebar about this. But we need you to call your legislator and say, listen, in next year's budget, level or increase funding for food insecurity. And so that's one of the main things you can do, and put it in your schedule to call them once a month to stay on there. They start to remember your name. And Sonia Chang Diaz told me once that 10 or more people call her office about something, it's an issue. It don't have to be 100 or 500. So let's keep this going out there. Catalina, is there anything that I missed that you wanted to communicate? Are there any events coming up? When is your annual gala, or Greater Boston Food Banks? Both of y'all's, like, what's coming up?
Well, my annual gala is April 6th next year. So again, if you visit my website, you'll have all the information and what we do and how you can support us. I think that you've been very thorough. The only thing that I would say is I do agree with single parent households. We are facing a lot of issues with single parent households. I think the elderly is another at-risk communities. But I also, going back to the recently incarcerated people that are now trying to reintegrate in society, they also looking for a job, it's really, really difficult. A lot of organizations and corporations are not Corey friendly, so they have a hard time. And when they do find work, it's really minimal pay. So it's really hard to get out of jail. You have your kids, you're trying to reincorporate into society, do the right thing, and you go into these jobs that are paying you minimal wage. And then how do you supplement the rest? So that's what food banks are here to do. And that's what we are here to help you with. So you don't have to struggle with that. In reality, we are meant to be supplemental food for people.
And let's keep it 100. In some cases, it is not supplemental. It is primary.
Correcto. In some cases, we are the main source of food for families. And we're okay with that. As long as, we're supporting you and you can take that off your plate and we can help you with it. We are here to help. So
to your point, Thaddeus said, I know several families, excuse me, with what we said, good income, that still need assistance. A single dad back in the day, and that for many people, that term is so real. One check away from homelessness, being hungry, having utilities turned off. And so if you need this and you don't have to spend, I'll be honest, I went shopping yesterday. I haven't went shopping in a few months because just travel and just a little stuff here and there. So I went food shopping yesterday. Oh my, I came home with four regular bags. And the amount of the food, like that used to be like a whole month. This is like a week and a half, maybe.
Yeah.
$250 some odd dollars.
Yes.
So if you can offset that by getting some supplement, that's money you can spend on gas. That's money you can spend on other bills and things like that. And let's keep it real. One of our banquet servers, I know where she's going with this. Thank God I'm a banquet server, because often when they get ready to go home, guess what? Sharon, Thank you, Sharon, for your transparency. I'm sorry, Catalina, you done struck a chord here, and we could be here for a whole nother half an hour talking about a lot. Please keep me abreast of stuff that's coming up. Nate is connected. Shout out to Castle Group for making this happen and bringing this information to us, and Sandy and Nate and all of those over there. But please keep us abreast of information. If there's anything that's going on that Greater Boston Food Bank and y'all are doing it like right here in Boston on the outskirts, please let me know and keep me abreast. And Nate, make sure sometime in mid-March I get a flyer or whatever so we can share information about Citizens in Gala.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Jimmy. I so much appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being here, and good luck with what you're doing with the Working Families Mobility Act there and the Navigator folks and whatnot. It is a pleasure. It was a pleasure and honor to meet you. Heard great things about you. Some of your friends are in the room this morning. They were saying hi. Evelyn Brito, she wants to get you and talk with you about Bodega Makeover. Yes. Evelyn,
I love Evelyn.
Yes. And then Valentina is in the room as well. And I thought I saw Vivian, but maybe not. But yep, they were in supporting you this morning. So thank you so much for being here. It really means a lot to have this information, and really thank you for breaking down and speaking to community that needs this. Is I told somebody yesterday, oh, da 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 da, and it was a brother dealing with another brother dealing
Yeah.
with some issues, and I don't need something, whatever. And I said, hold on, stop. Yeah, you do. Let's just keep that 100. You
Yeah.
are in need, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Exactly.
I'm
Exactly.
sorry. You just struck a chord. So
No,
I'm gonna go and
and I'm so glad, and I want you to continue to replicate that message. There's nothing wrong with you identifying that you are food insecure. You're not alone in this arena. You're not alone in this area. You need help. You should get help. It's your right to get help. We advocate for you. We're working for you. So to make sure that you're healthy and your kids are healthy so they can continue to grow and thrive.
and
And
not just
we can do exactly, and not just survive. So we are here to support you. And I know that all of the other food pantries share the same sentiment. I know that some people are going above and beyond
Mhm.
the call of duty to make sure that we secure um, food and that we secure everything that we need to secure so our participants can take whatever they need to take. And we're doing a lot of work for the community, and we
Mhm.
hope the community can access that without any type of stigma and without any type of fear and without any type of retaliation or embarrassment or whatever label you want to put on it.
That's right. That's right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. I know you have to get to work and keep things afloat there and running, but thank you for spending the hour with us this morning to keep this in the forefront, and also to let folks know that it's okay. It's okay if you're in need, and here is a way that your need around food can be met. Thank you so much, Carolina.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jimmy,
Have a
for
good day.
bringing this topic and
Absolutely.
really inviting me to your show.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you so much, folks. That was Catalina. Oh God, I don't want to mess up. I'm not even going to try. I should have said it a couple of times while she was on to get it right. And I don't take that lightly. I'm serious. Yeah, we have to be sensitive in saying folks' names correctly. Even mine is plain as Hills. People will James Hill me in a minute. No, there's multiple Hills. I'm fat. No, so I'm messing. Oh, if you are in need, go here. I mean, if you would like to support, you can go here. If you are in need, here's where you can go as well. gbfb.org. Let me just see if I can get that link hyperlinked in the comments to make it easier. So here's where you go if you're in need. I'm going to put it in the comments as well. I don't know if it's going to hyperlink in the comments, but hopefully it will. If you're in need, it's in the comments, and you can go here. Take advantage of that service from the Greater Boston Food Bank. If you go to their website, they can let you know Catalina is located on the North Shore, but there are different pantries and things right here in Greater Boston or in Boston proper. Roxbury, Dorchester, Mattapan, High Park, Lowell Mills, all of that. And even if you are working and struggling to make things happen, there's nothing wrong with taking advantage of this. All of us at one time or another has had to go and pick up food. All of it. Well, not all of us, but many of us. I don't know all of your stories, but many of us. I'm not going to stay there too long. We'll be back tomorrow at 9 a.m. For Thankful Thursday here in the Java Cafe. Thank you all for joining us this morning. Please share this information with someone that may be in need, or just share it in general. I know often I've said tag people, and I don't want y'all to tag people, and they hit me, talk about why you tag me in that, what you saying. But just generally share it, because you don't know what one click will do on that food bank click for someone that could save them $200 for the month, and they keep their gas and lights on. It's not that far-fetched, y'all. She talked about the silent pandemic. Oh my God. All right, I'm getting off of here. Everybody have a wonderful day. And we will see you tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. here in the Java Cafe.